LCTV has the only weekly news broadcast. Hear detailed reports for the biggest news happening in and around the City of Lynn. Learn more about how your city is run by staying up to date on the latest meetings and announcements. Get a closer look at the multicultural community and artistic environment being celebrated and represented in Lynn. Watch our coverage for an overview of events and the organizations who put them on. Get an insider look into the work of groups and representatives that reside in Lynn. Made by your local station for you, see what Lynners are creating in the community. Watch LCTV News at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and go to linktr.ee to watch anytime.
Did you know that LCTV's website has news, event information, and much more for free? Visit linktv.org/news to find press releases, news videos, and more, updated throughout the week. Our community calendar is home to Lynn's most comprehensive events calendar, listing festivals, fundraisers, and more. We also have recordings of city meetings, shows from our membership, public safety scanners, and more. Visit linntv.org to find out everything LCTV has to offer. Welcome to LCTV's Candidate Forum, featuring those running for Ward Councilor in Wards 1, 5, and 7. Candidates in Ward 1 are Paul Guthrow and Peter Meany. In Ward 5, candidates are Carolise Paez and Josh Polonsky. And in Ward 7, the candidates are Jordan Avery and Billy Devin Jr. Tonight's forum will be moderated by LCTV board member Joe Scanlon.
Good evening. I'm Joe Scanlon. I'm the treasurer of LCTV, and I'm tonight's moderator for the Ward Councilor Forum. We have with us this evening, running in Ward 1, Paul Guthrow, Ward 5, Cardi Paez, Josh Polonsky, Ward 5. From Ward 7, we have Jordan Avery and Bill or William Devon?
Billy.
Billy.
Billy's fine. Okay.
And we're going to begin with a 90-second opening from the candidates. Before we do that, there's a few orders of business I'd like to get to. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of former Ward 1 Councilor Jane Teal. It was in the paper today. So just a moment there, and then we can proceed. Okay. This also to remind people that the school committee forum is on October 20th, is Monday, 7 p.m. Same is right here. It'll be our LCTV school committee forum. And I guess we're going to be streaming the school committee meeting, emergency meeting for tonight. They'll be later. So we're going to begin with the 90-second opening. And the first, we'll start with the Ward 1, and we'll work around and we'll alternate and rotate the speaking on the questions and the opening and the closing. So the first to open up will be from Ward 1, Paul Guthrow.
Thank you, Joe. I've been a neighborhood guy for more than 45 years now, raising a family of 4 daughters in the St. Pius neighborhood of Ward 1. In so doing, I've come to know the neighborhood organizations and neighborhood very well, and I know the city like the back of my hand. I know how the city operates, and I look forward to working with the many folks that make this city run. My wife Patty and I are now empty nesters, and I'm also retired from GE Aerospace after 40 years. The voters in Ward 1 have this unique, high potential opportunity to vote for. I have plenty of time to work the issues and care for my neighbors. I worked in the shop at GE as an all-around machinist, and in management as a technical writer, and in engineering leadership positions. This experience, coupled with 4 years of military service, give me the discipline and the passion to lead my city's Ward 1 neighbors into the future. I promise to return all calls immediately. I promise to learn my neighbors' issues when called, and also to visit them to fully understand the issues. Their issues will become my issues. Their issues will go onto my list. I will work them, I will track them. I will keep my neighbors informed of their status. No one will need to say, I never heard back from him. I have no other desire than to help my neighbors with neighborhood and city-related issues. I'll be laser focused on getting things done. Thank you.
Patty, 90 seconds.
All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight and learning more about your counselors. This is obviously a really important position for all who reside in the City of Lynn. And also thank you for everyone who came out to vote for the primaries, which was a really important race for Ward 5. Unfortunately, 2 of our other candidates are no longer. So, but yeah, I'm Cardelise Paez, or Cardi, and I've lived in Lynn my entire life. I am incredibly proud to be a Lynner. It's filled with incredible people from all kinds of backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds and different cultures. I've definitely had the opportunity to engage in various spaces, be it through the different nonprofit organizations that I've been a part of as I've grown up, but also going to school in California, also working in economic development abroad in Latin America. I've also had the opportunity to work in management consulting and within impact investing, working on innovative solutions to help bring to light different social and environmental programs into the US, but also internationally. And I think this is a really wonderful opportunity to work together in community and come up with community-based solutions for that work for the majority of us, and to connect us to resources that we very much need and deserve.
Thank you. Next is Josh Polanski, Ward 5.
Thank you, Joe. I'd like to thank LCTV for hosting us tonight and all your work that you've done with our campaign so far. It's truly appreciated. My name is Josh Polanski. It would be my honor to serve as the next Ward 5 City Councilor. I'm a lifelong Lynn resident. I'm a product of Lynn Public Schools. I graduated from Lynn Classical High School in 1996. I'm raising 2 children here in the City of Lynn. Both of them are attending Lynn Public Schools. I've been a community leader through coaching and other volunteer opportunities in the City of Lynn. I have run the Pine Hill Civic Association for a number of years. My goal as a Ward 5 councilor is to be accessible to everybody, to be accountable to everybody, and know that I will always lead with integrity and honesty. I will always do what is right versus what is easy. I understand there are a lot of issues, and I am here to work for you and work on behalf of those issues. Together, we can continue to make Ward 5 and the City of Lynn the amazing place we all know and love to be.
Okay.
Ward 5 is a special location in the City of Lynn. Ward 5 touches almost the entire city and has the diverse makeup of every part of the city. We have single family, we have multifamily, we have schools, we have businesses. Everybody in Ward 5 has unique needs, and I'm ready to take on the challenge and to take on the job of helping every resident in Ward 5 address your needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jordan?
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, LCTV, for allowing us to have this time tonight to speak directly to you, the residents of our great city. My name is Jordan Avery. I'm a lifelong Lynner and West Lynn native. Graduated from Callahan, Breed, and Lynn Tech. I've lived in Ward 7 now almost my whole entire life. I've raised my whole family there, my nephews, my nieces, my mom, who still live there to this day, and 2 small businesses right here in Ward 7. I grew up in Kings Lynn. I'm the youngest of 5 children, and as I mentioned, a small business owner. And I think it's very important to highlight some of the community work that I've done here in the city already. I'm the chair of the Lynn Human Rights Commission. I'm also a mentor with Big Brother and Big Sister, where we mentor youth, and also umpire and referee our local sports and volunteer for many years down right there at Babe Ruth, raking the fields, getting the fields ready, things of that nature, being very involved since a young age. I'm also the co-organizer of the Lynn Christmas Eve Parade, which we all know. Some of my priorities are very clear here. Public safety, infrastructure, affordable housing, seniors and veterans earning the respect and services that they deserve, and youth engagement. I humbly ask you for your support on November 4th, and I look forward to these questions. Thank you.
Okay. Billy?
Good evening, everybody. First off, I'd like to thank LCTV and wonderful moderator Joe Scanlon for hosting this event. My name is Billy Devon Jr. I'm a candidate for Ward 7 Councilor. I have proudly lived in Ward 7, West Lynn, my entire life. I graduated from Lincoln Thompson Elementary School, Breed Middle School, and Lynn Classical High School, where I was a 3-sport athlete. After high school, I earned a bachelor's degree from the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts in North Adams, and I later earned a master's degree in school administration from Salem State University. I am a homeowner in Ward 7. I have been happily married for over 30 years to my wonderful wife, Lynn, who also grew up her entire life in Ward 7. Importantly, Lynn and I raised 5 kids in West Lynn who all attended Lynn Public Schools and played sports in West Lynn. My education has prepared me for a 30-year career as a teacher, coach, and administrator in the Lynn Public School system. I have mentored thousands of kids in my educational career. The last 17 years, I was honored to serve as Lynn Classical High School's athletic director. I strongly feel that one of my greatest strengths in this election as a retired educator is that I have countless hours to devote to the residents of Ward 7 with their concerns since I have retired. I will approach this as a full-time job and not a part-time job. I appreciate your support on November 4th. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to go to the questions. And Cardi will have the first question. And some of the questions were submitted by members. Others were, when I say members, I mean members of the LCTV organization. And some were developed by the staff. And we're going to try and keep them, so that there's some easy ones and some more difficult ones, so we'll try and mix them up a little. But the first one is submitted from a member, and we'll start with Cardi. Do you support changing the city council meeting time to 7 p.m. in order to increase citizen participation?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful question to ask. Obviously, with the current meeting times, it's just really hard for people to make meetings generally. If a later time, be it 7, and I'm not sure exactly where that number came from, I'm assuming that means committee meetings are going to be a little bit later, past 5, which if anyone's going to a normal 9 to 5, it makes it easier for folks that need to participate in these meetings. I do think that it should also be supplemented with other initiatives to get more engagement. For example, we've now have this 15-minute open session for residents to speak and insert their questions. I think if there's an opportunity for that to continue and potentially be extended, or that would also make sense.
Josh, same question, if you need me to repeat it.
Nope, that's fine.
Yep.
I support the idea of changing when necessary, and if residents feel and if the city council collectively feels that the current time needs to be looked at and needs to be adjusted, then there is a responsibility that the city council does have to increase availability for residents. I talked about accessibility in my opening. If accessibility is a problem for people at the current times, then absolutely taking into consideration the city as a whole and what is best for the residents and what is best for those to be able to attend, to be able to take part effectively in city council meetings, to be able to hear their voices. If that is something that could be explored, I would be interested in having open discussions about the possibilities of exploring any kind of time change to those meetings.
Jordan?
Yeah, I echo the two other candidates. I think representation is very important. Accessibility is very important. If the voters and residents want us to push back the time, there's no questions asked. We should. I think at one point, don't quote me. I think it was 8 o'clock. At one point, I remember going to City Hall at 8 o'clock meetings. So I have no issues, no problems with pushing that back, and I think it's actually something that we really should be taking a deeper look into. And making it happen. So full support of that question. Thank you.
Okay. Bill?
7 o'clock is a wonderful time. Gives people ample time to get down to City Hall after they've gotten home from work and they've had some supper. When I look at the 7 o'clock time, I think back to my time as the AD at Classical. That's when all of our basketball games are. Our night football games are at 7 o'clock. We have a lot of events at Frazier Field at 7 o'clock. I'm open just like Jordan and Mr. Polanski and Cardi. I'm fine with the 7 o'clock start if that works for everybody. And I'm very excited about the open mic portion. I went to the last council meeting, not the one on the 14th, but I went to the last one, and it was very interesting, the concerns that all of our residents have. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
I think pushing the city council meetings to 7 is a great idea for a couple of reasons. First, I've noticed some councilors that are still working during the day don't even show up for their subcommittee meetings that usually start around 4:30, and it's just kind of too early in the evening to start the meetings. So I think starting at 7 o'clock is a great idea to ensure 100% participation by the councilors. And like Billy said, it gives us a chance to have supper just like tonight. This forum is started at 7. I actually ate before this meeting, which is unusual, in the campaign trail. So I enjoyed having supper, although it was a bit quick to get down here, but pushing it to 7 o'clock is a great idea.
Okay. And when Dick and I were on the council, the meeting started at 8 and they got over about 2 in the morning. So, okay. The next question, we'll start with Josh. Okay. Given the current situation with ICE operating in Lynn, how can you support the immigrant community?
It's a great question. It's unfortunate that these days we need to think about that and we need to address it, but the reality is we do. We do need to address these concerns because, especially in the City of Lynn, we've seen ICE agents here. We have seen our immigrant neighbors, our immigrant friends, our immigrant families facing grave issues because of ICE, because of being taken from their homes, people who are here working, who are here as our neighbors, our friends. How we can address the issues is by continuing to support the way we've done as a city so far, not allowing ourselves to be open to ICE staging in public parks, staging in our friends' business parking lots, being vocal, trying to find ways, trying to learn ways to protect our residents here. And I don't think it's any one answer. I don't think it's an overnight answer. But continuing to do the work collectively, continuing to protect our friends and neighbors is greatly important.
Okay, thank you. Jordan?
Sure. Yep. I'm honored to be endorsed by Neighbor to Neighbor, which is an organization here in Massachusetts that fights just for this and many others. I think what we're seeing across our city and across our Commonwealth is a tragedy, and it's awful. I think us as elected officials or candidates, we need to be out there standing shoulder to shoulder with these folks and vocal. And I think this is where we lack a lot of it. I have employees and friends and family member, and myself being a minority, you see it firsthand what is going on and taking families and children away from families here in our city. And I think we just need to continue to be vocal. We need to continue to be out there. We need to continue to making sure that people go out and vote for this reason as well, right? So I think we need to continue to do everything we can to protect these families, help these families, and support these families in this terrible time. It's unfortunate, and you have my full support that I will do everything in my power I can to keep our children with our families and our families here in the great city of Lynn. Thank you.
Bill?
Great question. When you look at the history, of ICE, it came about after the 9/11 attacks on the United States by terrorists. In 2003, George W. Bush and Homeland Security Act set up this organization called ICE, and now we have about 20,000 ICE agents and 400 offices in the United States. Here's the problem. It's not doing what it was set up to do, all right? It was set up to pick up violent criminals who are committing violent crimes in our country. It was also set up to stop the excessive flow of drugs and opiates, most notably fentanyl, into the country, which is killing thousands of people every day. And it was also set up to stop sex trafficking of minors, okay? And just to reiterate, that's not what's happening. Everybody knows that Lynn is an immigrant community, and I'm going to give you 2 examples of my experience as working at Lynn Classical and Lynn Public Schools. Here's the reality. Kid comes to school every day, goes to school all day, leaves school, and goes and works a 7 or 8 hour job, and gets up the next day and comes back and repeats the process all over again. Most of our kids don't have the luxury to play athletics because they don't have the time because of straight economics. Now factor that in with ICE. If you're going to school and then you're going to work and then you want to have and then you have to worry and look over your shoulder about somebody coming to get you. And lastly, my daughter goes to Lincoln Thompson Elementary School. I pick her up every day at 2:15. Here's what I see. Hardworking immigrant families, hardworking people, their children coming out of the school, giving them a hug. They're looking for the same opportunities as we all had when we were growing up in Lincoln.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul.
I have to echo a lot of what Billy said just a moment ago, especially the history of ICE. I think that ICE, the current tactics of ICE, have no belonging in this city of Lynn or any other city. ICE is a law enforcement agency. It has its purpose. It has no purpose in the city of Lynn. We have our own law enforcement, the Lynn Police Department. If by chance we find a criminal that might be illegally in this country, we'll call ICE. We'll call you. Otherwise, stay away. And I urge people to contact their state senators, not their state senators, but their U.S. senators and the U.S. representatives, and ask them to do what they can down in Washington to limit ICE's activity in the cities, because you got to remember, unless you're Native American, we're all immigrants. And this is unfair to this day and age of our recent immigrants to have ICE breathing down their neck, especially the children. So I think you understand where I stand with ICE. We have our own law enforcement department. We'll call you when we need you. Otherwise, stay out.
Okay, thank you. Kadi?
Thank you so much for posing this question. I think it's a really important one for what we're all experiencing right now. But yeah, inhumane activity should never be tolerated. I think right now we're in a phase in our country where a lot of people are just scared. They don't know how to support people. They don't know how to protect those people that they love, be it their relatives, friends, etc. As was mentioned, if you're not Native American, you're an immigrant to this nation. And I've been involved in, my family is Dominican. I've been around many mixed status family, relatives, etc. It's not unnatural to be in various stages in the immigration process. That doesn't make you a terrible person. It's just a system that's obviously been broken down for multiple years. Like, a lot of the reasons why people are still undocumented is because these wait lists are extraordinarily long, and it's really difficult to actually attain citizenship or legal residency. In my time in Lynn, I've also been endorsed by Neighbor to Neighbor. I've gone door knocking with them to educate people about their rights related to ICE. For example, a lot of business owners don't know that they don't actually have to open their doors to ICE because it is their Fourth Amendment right. And also, there's just a lot of people that don't feel safe going out, engaging with local businesses. Students don't feel safe going to school, getting an education. People were basically rewriting.
Okay, that finishes this round. Okay, so we're going to change the questions up a little. They're going to be more ward-oriented. But I just want to say to the candidates, we have these time cards for a reason. Let's just be respectful of the time, because we only have a limited amount of time on the year. So just, I'm not speaking to anyone in particular, but you get the message. So, third question, Jordan, you'll take it first.
I think it's Billy, but I'll take it.
No, you did the first last one. Yeah. You just have. Yep, I do too.
I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm joking.
This is not a gotcha question, so.
Gotcha.
In your opinion, what are two important issues in your ward right now, and how would you work to address them?
Yeah, two current. I mean, I think literally as of yesterday and today, the 107 bridge is not necessarily in Ward 6. It's in Ward 6, but it affects heavily Ward 7, as it is the main corridor heading into our city and heading into Ward 7. So that kind of goes into my infrastructure. I think our infrastructure, our city roadways, our trees, I talk to neighbors and residents all the time. And then my second would be, really our parks. Our Barry Park. We have, Little Leagues being pushed out of their parks because of a violence down there. So public safety, right? Really trying to try to work with the police department to continue to making sure that our children are not being pushed out of their parks and playgrounds. I know it happened a few months ago where, for a good example, West Lynn couldn't play their Jimmy Fund games there because of violence. So I think public safety and our infrastructure are very important in our ward, and really making sure that the city services are being rendered into our ward. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy?
First and foremost, I think personally that public safety is my first concern. All residents that live in Ward 7 in the City of Lynn should feel safe in their homes and apartments. They should feel safe in their neighborhoods and in their schools. It's imperative that the City of Lynn provides our police department and our fire departments with the resources that they need to succeed. One of my sons, I could tell you this personally, one of my sons, Brandon, is a Lynn police officer, and I see firsthand how hard the police and fire departments work in our city. Every shift and every day, the Lynn Police, Lynn Fire, and emergency personnel risk their lives to protect and help the citizens of Lynn. They need our unwavering support. Affordable housing is something that I hear from a lot of the residents. I recently had a meeting with Mayor Nicholson. The good news, we have close to 4,000 affordable housing units in the pipeline. 150 units elderly housing at the Solomini House, which is the old Union Hospital. 50 units of veteran housing at the old Armory down at the Commons. And then we have the Hennessy House. on Andrew Street downtown, which is 50 low-income units, as well as 50 more low-income units on Buffum Street. And lastly, if the South Harbor project gets off, we can count on 80 more affordable housing units.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
Well said, Billy. The two main issues in Ward 1 that I see are affordable housing, especially for seniors. Billy mentioned the 150-unit Solomini building, which is starting construction at the old Union Hospital site. Two Life Communities is the owner of that project, and they recently had a neighborhood meeting for the abutters, and luckily I was campaigning in that immediate area the day after, and ultimately got a hold of the slide deck for the presentation, and it has a link for seniors who want to get on the lottery list to get into that building. You can contact me and I'll forward you the link. They will have a lottery at 6 months prior to completion, which is about a year and a half from now. So I'm very excited about that building. I'm also concerned about the conditions at Meadow Court housing. It has come a long way, but there's still improvements to be done, and I want to monitor the seniors that are living at Meadow Court. And Billy touched upon the Lynn Armory, 52 units. It was actually in the paper today. The second item is traffic flow. Granted, we've had huge amounts of construction outside of Wyoma Square recently, but after it's all said and done, I want to ask the city and state to have traffic studies done, because the flow through Wyoma Square is gridlocked in the morning and in the evenings. So we need to do something about flow through Wyoma.
Thank you. Okay. Patty?
Thank you. On a similar theme, I'm going to continue with this public safety and infrastructure theme we got going. In Ward 5, there's obviously the Northern Strand project, in which there have been a lot of construction down in the Commons and also Market Street, which is basically a state project connecting Everett down to Nahat, and it's been a really good way to redo our streets. However, a lot of our constituents have brought up very valid concerns with the project. For example, many seniors and folks that are a little mobilely impaired have been having issues with the bumps going to these different areas. So I think a logical next step would be to figure out a way to make it easier, so when folks are using public transit, they can easily move from one street to another. There was a situation where one of the residents wasn't able to get onto the sidewalk because someone was parked in front of the only lift that they had. So really making it more accessible for our residents, and also communicating which changes are happening and occurring. Right now I've been updating a lot of our public forums that the city's very good at providing. Secondly is more around public safety. We have this new initiative around with the care team, so seeing how we can expand these different hours so that when things are a little bit more heated in late hours, we can start gathering that data and better collaborate with different stakeholders.
Thank you. Josh?
I think two of the biggest issues that face Ward 5 are currently traffic due to vast amounts of road construction that we see. We're facing a lot of growing pains with that construction. I think that over the course of time, once that construction starts to finish itself up, things will ease. The other thing that plagues Ward 5 quite a bit is, I've been told a lot when I've been door knocking and when I've been meeting residents, downtown. The familiar theme is downtown as a blanket statement. Part of what we're seeing downtown is homelessness increasing. We're seeing substance abuse. We're seeing mental health crises. In order to educate myself in how best to serve as a ward councilor, I've been talking with the Lynn Com team. I was able to do a ride along with the Lynn Police to learn just exactly what we've got going on downtown. While I was with that Lynn Police, I was able to go on a call, and it was a mental health crisis call. Seeing that stuff firsthand allows me to realize that we do have a lot to fix with that we are working on. The Lynn Police are working hard. Lynn Com team is working hard. But those are the two biggest issues in a abbreviated nutshell is traffic due to road construction and general public safety, we'll call it, for the downtown area. Both are things that I will work very hard along with City Hall and the appropriate resource to gain the appropriate resources to continue to help. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to the fourth question, and we'll begin with Billy Devon this time. How do you want to improve the infrastructure in your ward, and how would you work to minimize disruptions such as those experienced on the Broadway project?
Okay. I think we have to have improved communication from the state in regards to these projects. And most importantly, I think we have so much going on in the City of Lynn. I think we have to stagger the projects. We just have, that's why we have gridlock. We've got all the things happening in Ward 1, all the things happening in Ward 5. Now we've got the issue in Ward 7. I was walking down Boston Street today. It was 1:15 in the afternoon, and there was a police officer out there directing traffic because of the Belden Bly Bridge has been shut down. There's a lot going on, and I think we have to inform through community forums. We have to inform the abutters, and we have to get the word out when these things are going to start and when these things are going to be finished, not guesstimates. The residents need to know. Lynn is a pretty resilient community, but people, I can see the frustration. I see people that are frustrated. They're late getting to appointments. They're late getting their kids to school. So just to reiterate, I think that we need to stagger all of the projects that we have going on in the city.
Okay, Paul?
Could you please repeat the question, Joe?
Certainly. How do you want to improve the infrastructure in your ward, and how would you work to minimize disruptions such as those experienced on the Broadway project?
Right. The abutters, first of all, as you recall, Ward 1 initially had a state project on Linfield Street going from Cowdrey Ave and Wyoma Square up to Great Woods Road. And that was disruptive. They took the asphalt down to the dirt as well. They did a lot of drain work, and shortly after that was closing down and finishing. The Broadway project started. The Broadway project, in both Linfield and Broadway project, were desperately needed. They recall. They published a number of accidents were occurring in that area, and they needed to fix a lot of things with Broadway. My heart goes out, though, to the abutters because they went through hell with the dust and the noise and the vibration and the eminent domain that was taken with the front edges of the yard and what have you, and I hope that they were fairly compensated because they went through hell. We finally have the base asphalt down. I'm looking forward to the lights at Genis in Warwick being synchronized with the lights at the end of Euclid. It's going to be good, but unfortunately the abutters paid for it. So we do need better education and communication in the future for projects that we may need in the future, and I'll work on that as a councilor.
Patty?
So obviously there's a lot of infrastructural improvement in the city, and I think this is large part because in the previous administration there were a lot of funds to ultimately improve on works that were in very much need of improvement. So like as we're seeing now within a lot of our gas and oil pipes, most of those are being redone, and that's also correlating with the extent at which we can repave our streets. So I think it's really important to communicate with the different residents why it is that these things are happening in conjunction with one another. Like, it's obviously unfortunate that there's going to be more traffic, there's going to be a lot more noise, there's going to, it's just going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people in the short term. But figuring out how to think about this for the long term and why it is that it's important. I also think that there are a lot more projects that are coming together, and the city's doing a better job at really getting community feedback in terms of what these designs look like. So being proactive in terms of getting feedback, and this could be something that within your precinct meetings or meetings that you have with your constituents, having folks from city departments, et cetera, talk to them and get feedback in real time in different modalities would be really helpful.
Okay. Josh, same question.
I think we've got a theme as we all answer this, and it's pretty obvious. Communication is key. Communication should be number one, whether that's communication from the parties that are doing any infrastructure improvements, any construction, communication from, if it's a city project, City Hall, if it's a state project from the state delegation. We need to communicate, as Bill alluded to, the timeline can't be a guess. We need to know start, finish, duration. We need to know as much as possible to educate ourselves on how to best plan. So planning and communication of any project is going to help everything go smoother in total. I think that is paramount. And once we start there, everything else works itself out over the course of time. You have an understanding of what the project will be. You have an understanding of how long the project will take, why things are going on, even how it's funded in some instances, whether it's a city project, whether it's a state project. That's important for people to know and for residents to know who they should reach out to, who they can reach out to. Obviously, all of us as ward councilors, that's going to be your step one with most any project, whether it's state or city. That's why we're here. We're accessible. For everybody to be able to know this is a state project, it'll help people know what questions to ask. It'll help you as a ward councilor or as a state rep or a state senator. Communication will allow you to be able to answer people's questions. You'll allow yourself the opportunity to help everything flow easier. So having clear, concise understanding of every project is the way to help that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jordan?
Thank you. As I mentioned, as one of my top priorities, as hopefully your next Ward 7 councilor, was infrastructure. Here in Ward 7, I think everybody here at the table, communication is vital and key, and letting the residents know what's going on. But I think what we're missing is accountability. Making sure that these companies that are out there working are following the rules of the city, following the ordinances, and putting back the roads in better condition, and not leaving them with plates all over the place or asphalt instead of concrete and things of that nature where we fall back. So we need to have more accountability on these companies, making sure that they're doing the job and completing it fully. I also would like to add the part that I think, since a young age, I remember jumping into the DPW and water and sewer trucks when my father worked at the water department, and these guys work hard. And I think, more resources, making sure they get funded correctly, making sure they have the tools and resources and equipment. I'm a snow chaser for many years for DPW. I go in the winter, half the trucks don't have ACs, they don't have inspection stickers. We need to do better. And we need to make sure that we're providing the resources and tools to get the job done to make our infrastructure better as a city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And as a ward councilor, you'll earn your pay when they have major construction projects.
Yeah.
Yes, I speak from experience. So, fifth question, we'll start with Mr. Guthrow again. Okay. What steps would you take to deliver results when constituents' complaints come to you?
Very good. What steps would I do?
Yeah.
First of all, and you'll see in my closing statement what my plan is, and you saw it also in my opening statement. When a constituent calls me, their issue becomes my issue. It'll go on an action item list that I own, and I'm going to work that issue for them. If it's, regardless of what the issue is, I will either contact the appropriate people or learn who the appropriate people are that should address the issue. If it's a long-term issue that's requiring additional funding or additional manpower or additional priority, along with the other 6 wards in the city, I will maintain a sub-list of that issue and make sure that the 16 or 18 or 24 properties in my ward are known at each and every meeting, and they get their deserved priority for that issue being worked. So it's just a matter of keeping an issue, documenting it, keeping it open, and making sure it gets addressed fairly and squarely until it's resolved. Or if it can never be resolved, we're going to have a discussion as to why it can't be resolved, and we'll go from there and either close it or keep it open.
Patty?
Yeah. I think when thinking about just constituent issues in general, I think there's also a way to present it. Obviously, at some point you just get bombarded with 1,000 different questions about the same thing. So really having an organized way of compartmentalizing what different issues are, but also figuring out what trends you see within them. Like, I think it's also a wonderful learning opportunity to say, like, hey, there have been like 10 different calls about this one topic. Would it make sense to come up with a plan? Let's present it at this adequate committee and take ownership over those different issues. I also think it's really important to find your own leadership within the community as well. There are people already that I've quite enjoyed meeting while door knocking that have championed their own streets and neighborhoods and are the people that are convening and bringing up these problems. So how do me as a counselor, one of my main questions or call to actions is to better empower these folks to advocate and get the resources that they need without having to go through multiple conversations with the same folks, because if at some point they've already gone to one meeting, nothing was resolved, and haven't found the solution, then it's a question of what external forces or powers can you do to get that change happen.
Thank you. Josh?
So for me, the steps are, first and foremost, listening. However, listening to understand and not just listening to appease are two different things. You can get a lot of phone calls and hear what people have to say, but listening to understand what the unique issues are for the residents. Because to every resident, it's their home. Every resident, their issues are unique to them. They may not know of other people's issues. They may not know of things that you've got going on as a ward counselor. So listening to understand and truly hearing residents' concerns is and will always be my step one. Because then once I've got a clear understanding of what the issue is, I can then take action. Taking action by developing relationships. I have some relationships within City Hall. I have relationships at the state level. Understanding where to take those concerns and how best to serve the residents, that would be my step two. Taking those concerns that I've heard, that I've listened to the appropriate people, to the appropriate departments, because there are a vast amount of issues that people will have, whether it's a down street sign, whether it's a broken trash barrel, whether it's people that are parking in front of people's houses where there are no parking signs, or resident parking only. All these different issues will have to be addressed to different parts of City Hall, so developing those relationships and listening to understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Do you mind just repeating the question?
Sure. What steps would you, let me start again. What steps would you take to deliver results when constituents' complaints come to you?
Sure. So I think, again, echo everyone here. For me, my open line of communication, residents would be able to reach out to me. What I would really like to see and focus on is the city look into alternatives as well. There's some neighborhood communities that call Click It, Fix It, where the resident can take a picture of whatever the issue problem is. It gets funneled to the appropriate departments, including also the ward counselor in that area. area, right? So we're keeping a track of what's going on in priority and then executing. And it keeps a log, right? So I think that is what I would love to see. I would love to advocate for a similar program like that. If I have to create one myself in Ward 7, I'll be more than happy to. But really continuing to be there, meeting you on your front stairs, talking with you, and getting results done. I've been in the city my whole entire life. I've done many jobs. As Josh mentioned earlier, it's knowing a lot of people here in the city to execute and get things done, and making sure that I continue to voice that we need these items taken care of and done in a timely manner. Thank you.
Billy?
First off, I would never go on LCTV and claim that I have all the answers and that I'm going to solve all of your problems, because I certainly cannot. However, communication is the key. And this is the key to education, is if you don't know the answers, what are you going to do to solve the problem? What steps are you going to take to help your constituents? Returning calls, Paul mentioned this earlier, is super important. Being transparent with all of the answers you're going to give to your constituents is super important. So I think it's developing a process as a candidate and helping people, because just remember this, we all live in the same community that we're trying to represent, and we all have the same issues. So that's what I would do. I would just, find out what the issue is. If I don't have the answer, I'm going to go to the right people that have it, and then I'm going to bring that information back to the people that need help, and hopefully the problem can be solved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. That's everybody, right? It is, yes. According to
can have another 90 seconds.
Yes, no, according to the cheat sheet, it's everybody. Okay, Gotti, you have the next question. It's similar to the last. So I just read them, I don't make them up. What ideas do you have for City Council communicating with an increase, what ideas do you have for the City Council communicating with and increasing engagement with the residents in your ward?
Excellent. So I guess thank you for having a similar question, because I wanted to add something to Jordan's point. The City of Lynn does currently have an app called See-Click-Fix. Is it being utilized as it should is a very different question. And also even for processing different permits and things like that, the city is considering opening a different platform. So one avenue is, yes, there are different mechanisms to communicate within City Council, like what problems people have. The amount to which people know how to use it, know that they exist, is far and wide in between. For my idea would be, one, I think especially within Ward 5, there is a lot of disconnection between the different precincts, which are very diverse in terms of what their needs are and the people that they serve. So one point of action is to have particular precinct leaders, which I've started identifying as I've been door knocking, but also figuring out what the right spaces to communicate with them are, be it newsletter, surveys, etc., and a combination of all of those in between. Additionally, I've also been exploring with some friends ways in which we can create more technology or like apps to get constituent feedback and reprioritize it for a number of different initiatives.
Josh?
Could you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
Well, that's fine. What ideas do you have for the City Council communicating with increasing engagement with the residents in your ward? What ideas do you have for the City Council communicating with and increasing engagement with residents in your ward?
Thank you, I appreciate it. I think the city does a good job with sending out, with the website, with sending out electronic communications. One of the things that we need to know as a city council, and certainly as a city as a whole, is not everybody's got the access to technology. Not every single person is on Facebook. Not every single person that we need to serve as a city has either the technology at their hands, the ability to do so, or frankly the knowledge to know where to look. And there are some wonderful things online. However, I think the onus is not on the residents to tell us how to communicate to them. The onus is on us to find out the best ways to communicate. And certainly within my ward, I would want to host regular in-person community meetings, not just once a month, not just once a year, but monthly, quarterly. Bring it to each precinct of the ward, find out what is going on with people, find out the best ways to communicate to people. Some people may like mailing, some people may like direct mail, some people may like a hand-delivered letter. Those are the kind of things that I would do to increase community engagement, because with community engagement comes pride in community. When you increase the pride in your community, you're going to help drastically. If you see your neighbor out taking care of their property and you see your neighbor taking care of the street, you're going to want to do it, and that is going to spread so much positivity. And if the technology isn't the way to spread that, then community meetings in person as much as possible, finding out from your community how best to serve them. Thank you.
Okay. Jordan?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I think for us in Ward 7 and across the city, I think, shout out to Coco Allingson. I think he does a great job. He does his neighborhood meetings virtually on Zoom, was one of the first to really start doing that. So for me, I'm committed. As I've been knocking on doors to a monthly newsletter, I'm committed to meeting neighbors and residents in their neighborhoods and having neighborhood coffees and coffee hours. I think also utilizing the robocall system for important meetings and things of that nature to get people involved. At a young age, I was elected to the resident council where I lived in Kings Lynn, and it was hard to get folks there. And I think it starts with us as well, making sure we're going out there, knocking on doors and talking to folks and getting them involved into our community. Same thing we did in Kings Lynn, and that's a beautiful community that we really got to get more people involved, coming up to our meetings and coming up to the resident council meetings. So I think it starts with really reaching out and then also doing whatever we can on our part to engage people, and it starts with us.
Okay. Billy?
I was fortunate this past Tuesday to host a community meeting at Kings Lynn. When my wife and I first got married and had our first child, we lived in Kings Lynn for several years, so I had a coffee and pastry event there on Tuesday. Wonderful place to live, wonderful people, and I learned an awful lot from meeting with the residents. I have excellent writing skills. I also plan to utilize a monthly newsletter. Social media is a very powerful tool. And don't forget, the older guys like me and my generation, we still read the Daily Item, we still read the Lynn Journal. I don't think my 4 kids have ever read a newspaper article in their entire lives. Everything's done on the phone. And Josh alluded to the city website, which I find myself going to an awful lot to find out what projects and what things are going on in our wonderful city of Lynn. So that's it in a nutshell. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
I would certainly have great ideas, by the way, from everyone so far. I would certainly have a conversation with the City Council's clerk's office, who is the keeper of a lot of things. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how the city clerk's office operates, but I do know some things. And they can issue letters to abutters of a project or to abutters of an issue, and I would like to capitalize on that and maybe streamline that. We recently had an issue with the FEMA flood map revisions that required community meetings, and luckily for Ward 1, the old Ward 2 councilor called a community meeting, and City Hall stepped up. But we can use the City Council Clerk's office to some extent. I don't know what extent yet, but I'll certainly have conversations and brainstorm with them on how to improve it. I think, though, that the City Council, the Ward Councilor, is the center of all communications. And Billy and others touched upon the newsletter. When the City Council has bits of information about projects, we can simply put links in our newsletters. And also community meetings is very valuable, and I plan to have them as well.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go now to the closing statements. So we'll start with Josh, and then we'll just go around the table and follow the normal order. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Joe. Again, my name is Josh Polonsky. I'm running to be the next Ward 5 City Councilor. One of the things that I would urge everybody tonight watching, everybody who's going to watch this on YouTube as time goes on, November 4th. November 4th, November 4th. That is our election day. It is a crucially important day in the City of Lynn because it is this local level of politics. City politics truly affect your day-to-day lives. Allow yourselves the opportunity to have your voice shared. Your vote matters. It does matter. In city elections, your vote matters. I, as your ward councilor, will be accessible to you. I'll be accountable for every decision I make. I'll make my decisions with full transparency, honesty, and integrity. I greatly appreciate your support on November 4th, but more importantly, support yourselves. Allow your voice to be heard in our next election on November 4th. It is vitally important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh. Jordan?
Yeah. Again, I just want to say thank you to LCTV, and I also want to, acknowledge all the candidates here for stepping up to serve. It takes dedication to put your name forward, and I truly wish each and every one of you a clean and positive campaign, and good luck. This conversation isn't about politics. It's about people, neighborhoods, and the future of our city. I'm proud of where I come from. Born and raised here in the City of Lynn, grew up in Kings Lynn, got on the resident council there, and learned early on. Since then, I've carried that same commitment into everything I do, as chair of the Lynn Human Rights Commission, as, again, a small business owner right here in our Ward 7, and co-organizer of the beloved Lynn Christmas Eve Parade. I'm proud to have the support of the North Shore Labor Council and the Neighbor to Neighbor in Massachusetts. The Labor Council represents over 50 local unions and 18,000 working people, including teachers, electricians, nurses, and public employees. These are the men and women of our community and help us keep continuing to run it, and I'm happy and proud to stand with them. My focus will always be on quality of life, safer streets, better city services, affordable housing, and supporting for our seniors and veterans. That means also being involved, rolling up my sleeves, and being there to answer your call and get the work done. I really love Lynn. I love it with all my heart. My family's still here, and I humbly ask for your support November 4th. Thank you, and may God bless you. May God bless the City of Lynn.
Billy?
Thank you. Thank you to LCTV and Joe Scanlon once again for running this event tonight. I, too, love the City of Lynn, and I want it to continue to prosper. My entire family lives in Lynn. Importantly, my 30 years as an educator in the Lynn Public Schools have prepared me well to now represent the residents of Ward 7 at City Hall. With constituent services, public safety issues, affordable housing, school resources, elderly services, and all youth organizations. On November 4th, I respectably ask you to please vote Billy Devon for Ward 7. Thank you.
Paul?
Thank you. I ultimately want to reduce anxiety amongst my neighbors by being a true representative for them on the City Council. I believe that a lot of anxiety will be alleviated simply by me studying the issues and knowing what's coming and communicating this out in timely newsletters and social media. Things like road and school building construction schedules, new post-construction traffic patterns, and reminders for simple stuff like yard waste and dumpster days. I will get the straight scoop from everyone involved, and I will communicate that out to my neighbors. Once elected, I will distribute to all voters in Ward 1 a magnetic business card with my name, cell phone, and email address so they can stick it on their fridge and know who their neighborhood guy is. That's the level of accessibility I'll offer. I will not be pursuing any further political office, just this one, Ward 1 neighborhood. I will stay dedicated to my neighbors. At the same time, I will further develop my relationships with our neighborhood state delegation, advocating for support for our ward and that of our city. We are unique with a state highway running through the middle of our neighborhood, leading into the busiest square in the city. A great councilor should have a great working relationship with all city leadership and especially our state legislators. Make your vote on November 4th an investment in me as your new Ward 1 councilor. Thank you.
Heidi?
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and please come out and vote. There's a lot on the ballot. Your city councilor is going to be the person that you talk to regarding a range of different issues within your community, be it your roads, be it different issues you're having with neighbors. It's really important that you have someone that you feel comfortable with and that represents you, but is also competent and can advocate for you on a range of different levels. I am really excited to have gone through this process and to have communicated with so many of you, learned about this community in ways that I did not expect. It's been a wonderful pleasure just meeting all of you. And hopefully we can continue collaborating. I think this position is unique in terms of politics in general because it is an opportunity to speak face-to-face with your constituents and make progress together, create different programs, and pass new legislation that reflects the wants and needs of those that are around you.
Okay. That concludes tonight's forum for the ward councils in the City of Lynn. I want to thank all the candidates. Job well done.
Thank you.
And I think people should realize that the ward councilor is their first line of communication in government, in general. Government from state, federal, local. It's the ward councilor. And it's a very, very important position. But more importantly, I think we have to urge people, those of you out there listening, to get out and vote on November 4th. It's so important that people vote. And you can't complain about anything if you don't vote. So please participate. And our next forum will be again on Monday night when we have the candidates for the school committee. So again, thank you to all of the ward council candidates for participating, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.